Hopefully my people will just murder everything in sight, and hopefully I'll be able to get him. Gotta be a bit careful about this guy. Oh, I can't believe it that I'm having difficulties actually even dealing with some random... you know, it's just fun. Oh, got murdered. Hello and welcome back to our Sturgian Viking, and with the walls not even fully repaired since the last time we attacked Turby Castle, we're actually going to be taking it back just now. And obviously, I did mention in the previous episode that it did get taken, as you can see right there. Boom, look at that. Oh, that was insanely fast, wasn't it? We just literally took it back in an instant. That was easy, wasn't it? That was extremely easy. We did take a couple of casualties, but that is really not going to make any difference whatsoever to the overall health of Sturgia. Although it is going to increase our territory sort of claim over this area, which is really good, because that means that we will... Oh, look at that. We're actually making peace with the Southern Empire. Oh, kind of a weird decision to make. I think I'm actually going to say yes. Mainly because I feel like the tribute is going to come in mighty handy, at least for the short term, and in the long term we're just going to be able to focus more of our efforts on the Vlandians and the various other people that we might be at war against. I think we're only at war against the Vlandians at this point, so basically taking anything that we can from them is going to make a very big difference. Anyway, we've taken Turby Castle now, super easy to do that, and oh, look at that, there's another vassal right there. And I've done a little bit of something as well, by the way. I've kind of switched up my army composition because someone actually mentioned, or maybe even a couple of people, that my army composition was too infantry heavy. So I have rectified that a little bit, and I think I can show you that in just a second. But let me actually just make sure that, there's actually another trait here that I get with Steward. I did get, by the way, to 150 medicine. And I took Bush Doctor, which increases village hearth growth rate by 20%, but also the party gets a healing rate when waiting in villages, and that is an increase for the party leader. Obviously, governor skills are not that useful to us right now. Anyway, trade penalty for horses -10, or +5 party size for each fief you earn. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't work unless, obviously, the same thing that I say every single time when picking perks from skills that might not be implemented yet, but I'm going to take Man-at-Arms nevertheless, and maybe we can actually see whether it has improved our... No, it has not improved our party size limit. As you can see right there, we have 363. Gotten rid of all the cavalry and all the archers and all the skirmishers, and I only have infantry now because some people said that I was too infantry heavy, so now I've basically just only got infantry. So that's the way to go. And hopefully that's going to show those dastardly Crusade who's boss, because let's face it, infantry versus a horse archer army, I mean, it's no contest really. We know that. The Crusade are just going to lose instantly. They're just going to see the infantry and then fall over laughing at how easy it is that they will beat us. Anyway, we're going to build some siege towers right here and a battering ram. I have a feeling that we're probably going to be making peace with the Vlandians relatively soon, and I'd like to try and avoid that as much as possible. I'm actually going to leave this siege now because we have drawn another opponent out of the woodwork, and that's exactly what we like to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to chase after Ospia once our disorganized state hopefully wears off a little bit, and I'm going to speak to him because Ospia is actually someone that I think owns a number of things, doesn't he? He owns Osterken, which is indeed a town. Personally, I don't really care too much about him joining us, so if he does indeed fail one of these conversation options, it's not that big a deal to me. But I'm going to see what he might want, and I'm not going to give him anything too spectacular, but I'm going to see if we can maybe persuade him a little bit, just with some cash. No, apparently with no cash whatsoever. Okay, so what about Hongard Castle? Okay, he kind of wants that. So what if I give him a little bit of cash? If I give him 1.2 million, you know what? You know what? I'm just gonna murder you, sir. You're too greedy for my liking. Thank you very much. I will indeed now take you prisoner, thanks. And then we will take all of the loot. I still haven't got rid of basically any of my loot. I've been going to town marketplaces almost every single time I'm nearby to them. It always seems like it's basically impossible to offload anything with the small amount of money that is in the marketplace itself. Anyway, we're going to be attacking Morcon's army here. I wonder where a Morcon is, because there's another vassal called a Morcon, and I believe there's also another vassal called Morcan. Yes, I think so. So that's yes, it's almost as imaginative as my naming. Anyway, let's have a look and see. What do they have here? They've got 5 cavalry, they actually have 19. No, they have more than that. They've got 32. Alright, so they have 32 cavalry in somewhat separate groups, and I just have infantry. So this is going to be kind of interesting to see what we can do. I'm going to tell them to charge. Let's tell them to charge in. Hopefully I won't die this time around, because if I die, then that's obviously going to be terrible. That is going to be probably the worst possible thing that can happen, but hopefully my people will just murder everything in sight, and hopefully I'll be able to get him. Gotta be careful about this guy. Oh, I can't believe it that I'm having difficulties actually even dealing with some random... Oh, it's a Vlandian billman again. If you remember, in a previous episode, we had a somewhat similar situation where we dueled a Vlandian billman, and he literally almost murdered me then as well. So, seems like they are quite, shall we say, insidious in the way that they have a decent amount of strength. Because you initially think to yourself, oh, this guy's surely not going to be that powerful, but then in the end, it turns out to be, you know, the emperor of the known universe or something. But anyway, we're going to hopefully take out this unit. Oh, never mind. He's off his mount, at least. That's all we really needed to do. So yeah, we ended up losing 13 units, and the enemy lost, well, everything. So pretty happy with that. And hopefully this will end up reducing the enemy's combat strength by such a significant amount that our Sturgian vassals will be able to continue to capitalize on our hard work. Okay, so we'll go into Revolt in just a second, and maybe, just maybe, bait out another army. It looks as though we're declaring war on the Crusade once again. They have about 7,000 combat strength. This is actually pretty fantastic, because the Crusade have just declared war against the Azerai. So this is great timing on the part of whoever brought that vote to the Senate or whoever it was. And I think what we're actually going to do is we're going to just do the old-fashioned quick and dirty sort of siege. I don't really want to spend a huge amount of time building up our trebuchets and then literally having them bombard the walls. This is much safer, of course. You know, doing the trebuchet strategy is indeed much safer, much more effective at reducing casualties. But for me personally, right now, I do not care about casualties one bit. If I sustain 98% casualties, I do not care, because as long as we achieve victory, that is all that matters in this case. But for the most part, I just want to get this town taken as soon as possible. That is basically the only thing that I am focusing on right now. And look at that, there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to wait until nighttime. These things are all completed in terms of their construction, and then we'll be able to head in. Oh yes, there we go. Fantastic. Oh no, someone left. Someone left the Kingdom of Sturgia? Who left? Kanujan. And he joined... Are you serious? That is also the risk that I take by persuading people. They do have a very high chance, in my opinion, to defect back to their original faction. And for me, I feel like... I don't know. I feel like there should be an additional consequence on top of just losing relation or whatever. I feel like there should be some kind of other way that lieges and so on and so forth. I'm just going to crouch down here for the most part while I talk to you about this small subject, and then we'll obviously cut to when we're inside, potentially, if we can actually get inside, that is. Anyway, I feel like if a vassal ends up leaving after you have spent significant resources trying to persuade them to join you, and they leave you after a short amount of time. I mean, Kanujan has attempted to help us quite significantly, but he has now defected to a weaker faction. Don't see how that makes much sense. Well, he's done it now, and I personally feel like the cool thing would be to add an option that allows some kind of assassination attempt, potentially, so that if a vassal does indeed do this, then you can literally just pay for an assassin or hire an assassin who is Going to be very stealthy about it, and obviously a percentage chance will probably be associated with it, you know, whether the assassin gets caught or whatever the case may be. And then depending on what happens, you'll either have the assassin get caught and then you lose honor, or you don't have the assassin get caught and you get away with it scot-free. I think that is probably the best thing to do, because obviously dependent on the percentage chance, which you could potentially increase by spending additional cash to research things, you know, like what kind of patrol route the vassal is going to use, whether he's going to drink wine that evening or whatever the case, so that, you know, potential poisoning might actually happen. You know, these kinds of things could be fleshed out quite nicely, and then as a result you could have a very fun time plotting the demise of a betrayer. Oh, what are these guys doing in here? Look at that. The outer door literally just collapsed, and these guys were literally just waiting in here. I assume they spawned in here as a result of well, I don't even know what. Or maybe they opened the front door and then they just wandered in. Kind of weird. Anyway, let's see if we can get inside the inner door. This is going to be super, super easy for us to get in. And hopefully my Huskars will be able to flood the battlements very fast as well. I'm going to actually try and see if I can go up to the archery nests, because I think that the archery people are probably going to be more dangerous than any of the people on the ground. And I've got to be a bit careful here as well, because these guys can actually deal some damage. And there's quite a few somewhat heavily armored units in this area as well, so we have to be a bit cautious of them too. Look at this guy, for example. Ah, look at this. They're actually doing a little bit of cornering here. I know some people actually said, "Oh, it's very obvious that you're going to be ambushed when you're inside the enemy's castle." Well, what about my friendly units? Where are my friendly units then? You know? Kind of makes sense that they would be coming to help me, right? You know, it's just fun. Oh, got murdered. That was fantastic. Did you see that guy? Wow. Yeah, that is the quintessential AI moment right there. Did you see that? A 109 headshot taken from that crossbowman. I was full HP basically. I think I'd only taken about 4 damage at that point, and literally having a crossbowman just be like, boop, crossbow bolt to the face. I really don't care if I die, you know. The only time I care if I die is if I'm doing some kind of like Iron Man challenge or, you know, hardcore challenge or something like that, where I'm not allowed to die and the rules basically forbid it. And I've done those in the past. If you haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend checking out some of the Warband series that are, you know, tagged Iron Man challenge, especially the one in Prophecy of Pendor. That was extremely fun to do. And it basically has me surviving throughout a full series of Prophecy of Pendor without dying. And if you want to see that feat, well, it's available through a playlist on the channel, and it's definitely something you want to check out, because a lot of people maybe missed it, maybe didn't see it. But anyway, it kind of shows how serious I might be able to take the game if I actually, you know, put my mind to it, because some of the time, yeah, maybe most of the time, I'm just aiming to have fun, and that's generally what I tend to do, or what I try to do. Anyway, so there you go. There's another 48,000 for us right there from the marketplace at Rovault. I think I might even take this for myself. When I'm taking thieves, I think about, what am I going to do with it? You know, because what am I going to do with this, for example? Because this, as I do have everything has a price, that allows me huge amounts of flexibility in regards to what I can do with the town itself. So I could literally take this town, I could go to someone and I could basically be like, hey, do you want to join this faction? Do you want to join us? And then if they end up joining, then I'll give them the town, obviously, and then they will be able to garrison it and take care of it relatively nicely. And that is different, in my opinion, to how Dirthart does things, because Dirthart basically just gives fiefs to himself every single time any kind of vote is called. However, for me, I'm able to dish out these fiefs to whoever I want to do that to. You know, basically I could give this to Encurion or Bellathor at any other time. Now, for me specifically, I think what I would like to do is give this to Encurion, because as you've no doubt seen in the recent past, yes, Mr. Kanujan has decided to leave us, and as a result I'm a little bit more skeptical about utilizing persuasion. I feel like the percentage chance for these vassals to leave you is maybe a little bit too high for my liking, and as a result, as you can see right here, Jalmaris is now no longer ours because I gave it to Kanujan. See? You know, that's exactly also what I'm saying. If this was my fief, this wouldn't have changed hands, and I would have been able to maintain control of it. Same thing with Argoron as well. So we've just lost 2 towns in one fell swoop just from him basically deciding on a whim to leave our faction, which I gotta say is actually quite disappointing. Gotta say that. Anyway, well, what can I do about it? I guess, you know what? Let's actually take a look. Yeah, look at that. The combat strength of the Khuzait went up by 2,000 just purely for those 2 towns changing hands and also Kanujan's clan switching sides. That is actually insane. The swings and roundabouts that we're so far suffering here are monumental, actually kind of crazy. And I wouldn't have expected such a significant combat strength increase from just 2 towns, but that just shows how powerful towns are in the grand scheme of things, and you definitely have to keep control of them. And that's exactly the reason why I tend to give it to myself, because the AI is a little bit iffy at times. But anyway, Osterkin, as you can see right here, has 908. Probably a little bit too much for me to take right now with just my own units. Might have to call for an army with that. But otherwise, what kind of people do we have going on here in Oxhall? We might have an opportunity to take this if there's about 600 or so. Might make sense for us to take a look here. And then otherwise, we might want to go on to Verksand Castle or something like that. Ooh, yeah, almost 1,000 at Oxhall as well. What about Praven? See, now here's the thing. I'm just trying to, you know, sort of dismantle things a little bit here and around here as much as we possibly can. Because even though the Vlandians, in my opinion, are on the back foot, they're probably going to be making peace with us relatively soon. But otherwise, I think that's going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. And otherwise, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.